Hey everybody in the Surf Shack, it's Angelique Duffield here, and I'm so glad that I'm able to present this stuff to you in the Surf Shack. Thank you so much, Michelle, for offering the space for me to share the stuff that I do and to be able to share my knowledge with you. I did a poll a few weeks ago, and the biggest question that people seem to have or be interested in was how to create funnels. So that is part of creating an email system and getting leads and sales. And I'm going to talk about it in a little bit of a different perspective today. And just as a starter, we'll talk about creating your customer's journey and how that relates to funnels. And then I'll get into some funnel examples for you. And you are welcome to ask questions. Actually, I can't even see the questions at the moment. Let me see. You know what? I can't actually see your questions, so I'm going to have to check that out later. So I'm just going to keep talking and maybe have to come back and check in. Yeah, so I just wanted to be able to share with you how to set up a simple funnel system and the things that you should be considering for it. So for those of you who don't actually know me, I am Angelique Duffield from Bright Spark Media, and I help if you need help with anything techie, that's basically me. I'm the geek who kind of deconstructs things and helps the creatives and the right brain people to create an irresistible online presence. So, hey Eden, hey Leanne, thanks for joining us. Yeah, so I help people like you to get online. So all the techie stuff that really scares you, that's where I geek out. And really what I want you to do is be able to get more visible and to do things more easily and to create it with systems in mind and a strategy in mind and create more automation whenever you can. All right, so today I said I was going to talk about the customer journey and how that relates to sales funnels. So the first few things, most people think about funnels, and you've heard the expression a lot, probably about the money is in your list. So what does that actually mean? I mean, we talk about people and we kind of put numbers on lists, and it's the number of subscribers is really important, the number of followers we have on Facebook, and we're kind of labeling people and turning it into a commodity. So I want you to think a little bit differently when you're planning out your list building strategy and how you can have your customer in mind. And as soul-centered entrepreneurs and the people that are in these kind of groups, that's, I'm guessing, how you want to portray yourself to the world. Right? So you're wanting to reach out to people in an authentic way and to help them to choose you in that sales process and not be sleazy and slimy and making sales a really challenging process. So the idea is that if you've warmed people up and you've created a relationship, kind of like a courtship when you're dating, right? If you have grown value with that person, then they're more likely to buy from you. And that's all this whole customer journey system, that's all it really means. It's a way of getting people from what their needs are to what your services are, and then they're hopefully going to choose you from all the other people and make that purchase with you. All right, so 5 things that I'm going to just touch on today, because this is such a huge topic, so I just tried to break it down. 5 questions to help you create an automated customer journey process. So first of all, what is your customer journey? And what are the phases of a customer journey? What is your goal in this whole process? You know, we talk about list building as being one of the goals. So we'll break that down a little bit. What type of funnel do you need? And then how can you automate that process? All right, hey Michelle. All right, so I'm just scrolling through my notes here. You might be wondering why the whole process is called a sales funnel. It's based on the fact that, you know, obviously a funnel is kind of like this, and you've got a whole bunch of people that could be needing your services. Now these people may or may not be aware of you, and they may or may not be aware of the fact that they actually even have a problem in the first place. So the first part of it is all the people out there, and then all the people who've discovered that they have a problem, and this is a problem that you could solve for them. Then it gets down to less and less people as they go through the process and do some exploring and discovering what the what the solutions are to their problem and who the solutions are. And then eventually that person is going to narrow it down and make a sale. I mean, it's a really pretty simple process. So the sales funnel is really just a visual representation of the customer journey from awareness into them taking action. So it's a very old model, and we just talk about it a lot more in online marketing. So the customer phases, so part 2, visibility is where it starts. So what you need to do as a business owner or as a coach or a speaker or whatever it is that you're doing, you need to get visible. So you need to have people find you. So whether that is having people discover your website or your blog post or your Facebook Live or your videos. Hey Dave, thank you for joining us. If you've got any questions, just pop them into the comments, and I will be answering questions more at the end, and then coming back later to answer any of your questions for people who are listening to this on the replay. All right, so I've just gone through a little bit about what the sales process is, and starting with a sales funnel, and we're on the second question is the customer phases that we're going through. All right, so the first one is visibility. So people need to, first of all, discover that they've got a problem, and sometimes people don't know how to define that problem. If you think about people who are gluten intolerant, they might not even realize that that is the label for their problem. They might feel bloated, they might feel really crampy, but they haven't actually labeled the problem first. So an awareness of the problem itself and awareness that you are a solution to their problem. And that comes with anything, putting anything out there. So your blog posts, your website, videos, and then running Facebook ads and things like that. That's helping you to get visibility. So then those things are driving traffic to your website or your blog post or your sales page. So you can get organic visitors through sharing, through guest posting, or again through Facebook ads, and people leaving reviews and doing customer referrals. And then the next step will be actually turning those visitors into leads. So having the people make some sort of choice to explore further with you. Now, they might not be ready to buy from you, especially if it's a bigger ticket item, like if you've got high-end coaching programs, or even bigger products, anything that's over a few $100s. They'll do some product research first, and then they probably want to know a little bit more about the company they're dealing with, or the refund policy, or in the case of coaching, other referrals, if a 6-week program is even right for them. All those sort of questions they're going to start to explore and narrow down their options. So turning those people into leads is a matter of getting them to know, like, and trust you. And for that, that's where we start to offer, the freebies or the freemiums or a lead magnet. So something that we can give to people, that we're creating this next step in a process and showing them how we can start to solve their problems, how we're on the same wavelength as them, and how we are relatable to them, and how we talk to them. Different people suit different personalities. So when you're creating these free products, it's really important to think, if you're not just doing it to grow your email list and to do the list building activity and turn it into sales, it's really important that product or freebie that you're giving them, first of all, creates a quick win, something that can turn around in 15 to 30 minutes. They don't want a huge 80-page ebook and a four video series or a 1.5-hour webinar. Try and give them something that is really super actionable and gets them a little win right away, so that they start to feel confident and grow that momentum. And that's going to bring them closer to buying something from you. And the other tip is that this thing that you're giving them, the freebie or the lead magnet, should really be in alignment with the next step of the buying process. So for myself, one of the things that one of my customer challenges is that they don't feel like they're techie enough. So if you're thinking about creating a lead magnet that's going to move into your next process, your next piece of your services or your trainings or products or whatever it is that you're selling, how does that free offering relate to or get the person closer to buying from you? So think of, what does a person need to know or believe in order to take that next step? So for me with tech, if I'm doing a tech training, let's say it's on a webinar and how to create their first webinar and to create the email system that goes with it, and then to go through all the setup And at the end of it, they're going to have planned out their webinar, planned out the content, created the graphics for it, and then make their webinar go live, right? And then maybe even market it. So if somebody's really afraid of technology, they might be thinking, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm so tech challenged. I'm really not going to be able to do all of this stuff. So backing it up, a little first step for me is giving them some way that they can create something and have some result from it. So it could be just creating, like even doing a Facebook Live. People having the confidence step by step to be able to go on and do their first Facebook Live. So another problem that people might have if they're afraid of doing a webinar is the fear of being on camera. So an easy little step-by-step guide I could do is to, getting your first Facebook Live and having a little script for it, and then how to reuse that content. So that's something that they could easily do in an hour. So follow a few steps, do your first Facebook Live, put it out there, and that's it. So they can gain some confidence in that, and then that relates to doing a webinar later, and to building up that system that I can walk them through step by step. So if they've been successful in the first place, then they're more likely to be successful going through a larger program. That's just an example. Hey Crystal, how's it going? Hey Erin. So we're talking about sales funnels and marketing funnels in general and how it relates to a customer journey. So I've just gone through, partway through the customer phases. We've gone through getting visible and getting people from what they have learned that their problem is, because sometimes people don't know what that problem is, and visibility in terms of discovering that you might be a possible solution to their problem. Driving traffic to your website or your sales page, and then turning those leads into sales. So building that trust with people by creating free lead magnets, something that's really super consumable in a very short time and gives them a quick win. And then once they've tasted what it's like to work with you, once they've had a sample, then the next thing is doing the sale. And it's not likely that you're going to get that sale, of $1,000 product right from something simple like that. So having something small, like a micro offer, $20 or $30, that is the next step for them. And it isn't a complete transformation, but it does give them a piece of something that they really, really want. So like I said, for me, creating a Facebook Live might be something that people who are wanting to do webinars, they can get more confidence with the technology and with being on camera by just doing their first Facebook Live, and maybe having a checklist of the things that they need to consider when they're doing their first Facebook Live. And then buying a mini product would be kind of a next step. So maybe just a few video series on doing your makeup and putting the lights. Like, a lot of people don't realize I've got 2 lights here in front of me, and they're just lights from Home Depot. So a little resource guide and a few steps like that could be my next product. And then once they've made that little sale from you, then it's more likely that they're going to take the next steps. And then once people have bought from you, then it's really important to either get repeat sales, and that's why you want to have this whole customer journey. Bushra Azar talks about it as a dread to dream journey. So from things that they hate or that they're struggling with, and I've talked about it like an island, like Pain Island is over here and Pleasure Island is over here, as you are that bridge in between. And actually, I think I learned that from Marissa Murgatroyd, and one of her clients, or one of her students is a really good friend of mine, Kate Wan. So she's explained it like that. So you're taking people from where they are really struggling with something, whatever their challenge is, and that could be as much as getting the right jewelry to make a statement when they're standing there on stage, or to wanting to lose 20 pounds so they can feel really sexy in the summer when it's bathing suit season. So getting them to that, from that point A to point B, which is of course where they've not had a full transformation, but where they've gotten one step closer. It could just be a mindset shift. It could be with going back to weight. It could be a few steps to cleaning out their fridge and having a better mindset, and just writing down their food every day. That could be one little thing that you could help people with, or a meal plan or something like that. So that's a way that you could really start to build a relationship and then move them towards having a bigger sale with you. And like I said, after they've made the sale, then it's about creating advocates. So people who have bought from you once are more likely to buy from you again, but creating amazing customer relationships so that people are talking about you in Facebook groups and you are the person to refer when it comes to any kind of service like that. So that whole journey is visibility, then they become a visitor or traffic, they turn into a lead, and then they're testing out the waters with you. Then it turns into a sale, and it could be a small sale, and then leading up to a bigger sale. And then they become your customer advocates, or even in a Facebook group, like part of your tribe and your community, and giving back, and everybody just supporting each other and giving value. All right, so that's the phases of a customer journey that you need to think about. So number 3 is thinking about goals. And I always say that you'll get better results if you start with better questions. And I see this all the time in groups where people ask what email service should I use, or what webinar service should I use, or which website theme. But they haven't asked enough clarifying, or they haven't given enough information that people can really give them a concise answer. Because if you are, let's say for example with webinars, there are so many questions that you need to ask first to clarify if whatever kind of webinar service is right for you. And I see people investing in things that are so much above their ability or above their tech skills, or something that they just don't even need right now in their business. You can start with something smaller and then scale up when you're ready. So you're not wasting all of that money with something that you don't necessarily, with a type of product that you don't necessarily need. So back to webinars, people ask about what kind of webinar service should they use. Well, if you are looking for an all-in-one system and you need like an easy process that goes step by step through it, then something like Webinar Jam would be perfect for you because it takes care of the registration page. You link up your email service, so MailChimp works with that perfectly well, or ConvertKit, or Infusionsoft, and then it goes through the emails for you, the nurturing emails. So like I said about building that the know, like, and trust factor, to reminder emails, and then the webinar itself, and you can create, pop up some things online. You can have the conversation in the chat box. You can actually even save all that. It's got fantastic analytics, and then it provides the replay afterwards, and then some follow-up emails. So if you want a full service thing, then that's what's right for you. But maybe you're not ready for that. Maybe just having a Google Hangout and using lead pages, or your own website. If you've got a website that's really easy to create pages, maybe you can just host it that way. So answering or asking better questions will get you better results when you're thinking about any kind of investment that you're going to make. So what are your goals with list building? So you might want to grow a really big list, but I want you to think about, why are you growing that list? Maybe it's so you can, because you've been told you need X number of people on your list to make X number of sales, or maybe you want to be on telesummits or featured in, if you're writing a book, then they really look at how many people are following you and how many people are on your email list. So think about the questions that you need to ask in relation to what your goal is. So how big a list is big enough? Well, if you're going to be featured on some people's telesummits, they want you to have 10,000 people in your email list. So that's your reason to growing your list, as well as obviously to providing service for your customers. But then how you grow that list, is it going to be worthwhile for you if you're going to be on a lot of telesummits, or if you're on a book publishing tour, or whatever it is? If you're going to do paid traffic like Facebook ads, or if you're just going to do it organically, if you're going to do joint ventures and do joint venture webinars, for instance, so that you can grow your email list and help both of you by providing some information to somebody's audience. So pretty much like I'm doing here. So those are the questions I want you to think about when you are considering what to do for your list building activities, as well as what supporting resources and tools that you need. All right, so a few examples of marketing funnels. Now, sometimes it feels like marketing funnels are just something that's happened online, but they've been around for ages. So things like direct mailers and that. If you have ever, if you signed up for any kind of loyalty program, so things like Starbucks and Air Miles, for instance, that is part of their list building program, right? As part of their system. So they are giving you something in exchange for your email. So that is part of their list building process. They are giving you either a discount, or you're collecting points and going to, like, adding your points towards a free flight or some free gifts or whatever it is. And you've essentially sold your email to them in exchange for getting these discounted offers or whatever it is. So that whole system has been around for a long time. When we're doing it online, let's just talk about a few really popular ones, and I've already talked about webinars. So the webinar itself isn't necessarily a sales system. Like when people first started doing webinars, they were doing like just, either one-off webinars, or sometimes selling a webinar, say $97, and you get to have 1 or 2 hours of a masterclass or whatever you want to call it. But a webinar is a perfect list building system as well. So like I described with Webinar Jam, for instance, going through the email process, you're going to be sending out some emails that are warming people up to you, right? So that are getting people to know, like, and trust you. So you're growing your integrity and your credibility with those people. So part of that system is getting people to first find out about you when you are talking about whatever your solution is in your webinar. Sending them to a registration page, then the thank you page, nurturing emails, the webinar itself, and then follow-up. The follow-up is really important, and it's very important with any kind of, with networking or any kind of sales, and a lot of people kind of miss out on that step. So like I said, so the first system that could be a list building system or a sales system could be webinars, and we've all seen lots of webinars. So an easy way to work through that system is, like I said, something like Webinar Jam, and then you can have depending on your budget and your skills, a more piecemeal way of doing it by using something like ConvertKit and your own webinar or your own website, for instance. So let's talk about list building funnels. So that's probably the most common one that we hear about outside of webinars. So if you're a coach or consultant or a speaker, chances are you're going to want to do some list building. So it usually starts with something like a blog post or a web page or a landing page, and creating something of value for free first, even if it's podcasts or videos, things like Facebook Live, and offering something that will get people to exchange their email list, exchange their email for something of value that you're providing with them. So the next step in a blog post could be a download that is very specific to the topic that you're talking about. And so the next step in that is obviously delivering that free gift or a freebie or a lead magnet, and then continuing a relationship with a series of emails, asking them some questions, learning about your potential customers, or your how you can serve your customers better, and getting some feedback, and then providing some micro solutions, like I said, turning this into a sales funnel, and then hopefully that they're going to buy from you. And hopefully there's going to be some automation in this. Like I said, with Webinar Jam, it's creating that whole email system. If it's list building, hopefully you're going to, well, here's an example. I had one client before who had a great idea to build a list. So she was an author, and she was giving away the first chapter for free in her book, and this happens quite often. But what her web designer did was just create it as a contact form on her website. So you can imagine what happened, right? So she's getting all these people who are signing up, and she's just got notifications in her email. So she's having to manually take all those emails and then send the free gift out to people. So that doesn't work very well, does it, right? So she's had to have that PDF of the first chapter and then manually go through every couple of days and send something out. So like I said, the idea is great, but then turning it into an automated system, you can do that really easily by having either a pop-up or just a button on your website, using something like Lead Pages, or if you use ConvertKit or even MailChimp. Even MailChimp does this really well. Just having some way of collecting somebody's email and then sending out that free thing automatically. So it takes you out of the equation for that one step. And then hopefully it's also going to follow on with some other nurture sequence, so that people are getting to know, like, and trust you, and that happens automatically. So again, this woman was sending out the emails from her own email before and sending out every once in a while, a little follow-up email instead of doing it in an automated sequence. So if you can build that up first, and then as people sign up and obviously send things out to them automatically, it's going to be a better system for you and for the clients that you're hopefully going to be serving. All right, so the next funnel I'm going to talk about that is kind of underrated, and it's the Call Me funnel. So it's kind of the same way. It works the same way as a list building funnel with creating a blog post or a video or something that's giving value first. And then the next thing is to offer a call at the end of it. So it could be at the end of a blog post, it could be in a webinar, you see that quite often, and offering a discovery call, which is then hopefully going to turn into a sale. So if you can do that, once again, in an automated way by using something like Calendly or Acuity, so people can book in a time slot that you've pre-programmed, and it sends out a little questionnaire, for instance, like 5 questions that will help you to give a better conversation in your 20-minute call, that you can actually give them some value and not just have a chat. And have that set up automatically so they can reschedule automatically, they get reminders automatically. So setting up that system as a Call Me system is a really good way to turn customers, or turn potential customers, into customers. All right, so we're on to step number 5. And what is it that you've noticed about a lot of things I've talked about? I've harped on this a little bit, about how to do things automatically. So whenever possible, and this is with everything, whether it's online or just creating systems in your own business, it's really important to start thinking in terms of systems and automating things wherever you can. And it could be from scheduling the call by just pushing a button and it goes into a sales system, sending out automatic email reminders, whether it's for your webinar or to attend something like this, like a Facebook Live, to pre-program things like in Buffer or Hootsuite and schedule a bunch of notifications that you can then be free to really engage with people in real time. Just collecting information and collecting data. Webinar Jam, for instance, is really good at that. ConvertKit or any email provider will tell you how many people have opened the emails, the click-throughs. So if people are really engaging with your content, they're going to be opening it up, and then they're going to be clicking onto the links that you provided with them. So the more you can research things like that, the better it is. And Facebook ads are really, really good at that. So just to recap, we've gone over the what is the customer's journey and how to look at it from your customer's perspective of bringing them through what they need and turning that into a system that you're providing things of value to walk them along as a really obvious solution to their problem, and how you can bridge the gap from what they want or what they need to Pleasure Island, so where they're getting to once they've accomplished that. We've talked about the customer phases and the goals that you should be thinking about when you're setting up your first funnel, and what kind of funnel do you need. So I gave 3 different examples and how you can start to automate. All right, so that's a really quick overview of how funnels work and where you can start to think about funnels and how you can start to think about automating things a little bit more. I am just looking and I don't see any questions. As far as I know, there's no questions in there. So I will... Oh, actually, you know what? Before I go, I am going to give an example of a funnel that I just saw recently. If any of you use Facebook ads, you might have noticed that they've changed the entry page. So it used to have like traffic and engagement and things like that. If you actually look at the setup, that itself is set up in the way of a funnel. So you'll notice that there's 3 columns, and the first one has to do with just getting awareness, like brand awareness, and then the next ads are getting more traffic, and then the final ads are conversions. Hey Jennifer, thank you so much. That's awesome. Yay, glad you're enjoying it. So if you look at the way their ads campaign setup is set up, they're actually helping you to work through a funnel process. So Facebook doesn't want you to have one-off ads, because that's not creating a really good strategy. So they're setting you up to have more of a plan and use Facebook ads as all parts of your marketing journey, for instance. Like I said, so from just brand awareness, and that could just be videos, for instance, and turning into leads and getting people to sign up for your offers. So that's part of the engagement. So maybe on your Facebook page, you're driving traffic to posts to just get engagement on them and to get people to share them. And to get people to your opt-in forms, for instance, get people to your blog post. And then the next step is in the third column in the Facebook ads, and it's actually the conversions. So that's what people kind of think about most when they're looking at Facebook ads, I think now. There's a lot of stress on retargeting and getting people to sign up and conversion pixels. But Facebook is really trying to make it easier for you to create an entire system, and that is part of this whole customer journey system. So from awareness to finding you, becoming the right solution to the problem, to making the sale from you. So like I said, Facebook is really embracing this too, and it's the first time that I started to kind of put that together with something like this, that you've got a system, and Facebook is really trying to help you to create a system, like an actual a marketing system, and not just do a one-off. So, like I said, I don't actually see any other questions. I just wanted to stay on for another minute or two to see if anyone's got questions. You can all just pop some questions into the replay in the comments if you want, and I will come back and answer them over the next day or so. And I'm going to come back after, and I'm going to put a link into the comments for you. I've got a blog post that gives some more details about starting with funnels. I'm going to be doing a whole series of blog posts, and I'm going to have a checklist, like a 10 questions that you should be asking when you're setting up your funnels, whether you're a funnel newbie or whether you've been doing funnels for a long time. Just some questions that you should be considering. So I'll pop that into the comments, and thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me here today. And thank you again, Michelle, for giving me the opportunity to help people learn a little bit more about marketing funnels and using their customer journey to help them to develop, products and services and get people through that journey to hopefully buying with you. Yeah, so I guess that's it. So, and I'm Angelique Duffield from Bright Spark Media, and if any of you have any questions, pop over. You'll see I'm in this group quite often. I help people with, with webinars, with sales funnels, with a lot of techie stuff, with web design, and creating strategies and plans, because I really hate to see people just doing, posting willy-nilly. But as soon as you start to think about, a content creation plan and having a better system again, then you're going to get better results. So yeah, so that is me in a nutshell. So if you ever want to chat, just pop me a message or come on over and see me on Facebook at Bright Spark Social Media or at brightsparkwebsitedesign.com. So thank you again, and I will see you in the Surf Shack.